apps. In our gadget review segment, we will highlight what you should expect when the PlayStation 5 comes back to the market. And finally, we have a mind-blowing innovation that will definitely leave you thinking, what the tech is that? This is Tech 47. If you are as old or as young as I am sure you witnessed the time when photography became a trend here in Kenya. It was like a fad. That's around 7 or 8 years ago. Well, as the trend faded out, only the creme de la creme, I hope I said that right, stuck to their guns, or should I say stuck to their cameras. Back then, having a camera was so cool. You are actually someone other people could look up to and only dream of emulating. But fast forward from then to now, everyone has a phone. The cameras on these devices have taken things up a notch. And with this boom in the interest in photography came the demand for editing software. And I'm not talking about the old school kind that requires you to sit on a computer. No, I am talking about software that you can use on the move. And that is exactly what Adobe has delivered. Adobe Lightroom is an editing app that is on a league of its own. It doesn't get more professional than this, if we're being honest. That is when it comes to photo editing apps on handheld devices. So here's what it looks like. When you launch the app, you can choose whether or not to sign in using your Adobe account. I would recommend you do so with your email address here. And if you don't have an account yet, why not set one up anyway? Well, once that is done, it will lead you to the library tab. Under the library tab, you can upload photos to the app and start editing right away. But if you like your stuff a bit organized, then you can arrange your photos into albums for ease of editing and ease of access. You also have the option of upgrading to this cool feature where the app sorts the photos in terms of people. So if you have common faces appearing in most of your pictures, it makes it easier to access these photos in that way. That feature would really come in handy, say for photographers who have certain clients as opposed to people who are just photogenic. And you have a full camera roll of selfies. I'm not talking about you millennials. Well, I am though. Low-key. Once you're ready to edit, you can tap on the picture and you'll find a myriad of elements you can choose to manipulate to make your photo even better. From selective adjustment to healing, cropping, profiles, which are like presets really, then to auto correction, light, color, effects, optics, geometry, and so forth and so on. Okay, the so forth and so on is not part of it, but yeah, you get it. Allow me not to go into detail because this could easily turn into a masterclass on photography and editing, but I will make a quick edit for you to see a before and after so that you can see just how wonderful this application can be. Next to the library button is a shared button. Using this button allows you to share photos to the community using Adobe, But it even gets cooler, Right next to the shared tab is a learn button. Here's why I think you should definitely download this app and try it. This app has in-app tutorials on how to achieve certain looks and feels when it comes to editing your photos. If you're looking for a warm feel or for a cool feel, you have so many options to choose from, created by other creators who fancy photo editing, as well as pros in the game. This for me was just mind-blowing. And all this is free, like free. This digital age is just the best. Right next to the learn button is a discover button. The discover tab is where things even get better. Under this tab, you can search for your favorite photographers and you can also learn their editing style step by step based on the photos that they have shared on this platform. That means, say for example, if you want to learn how to achieve a certain look and a certain feel from their work, you can learn it and tweak it to suit your own work. You have no idea how pumped I was when I learned about all this. This app also has a community that you can choose to join and share your stuff with, which makes this ideal for photographers, or rather it makes it an ideal photographer's haven, or should I say heaven. Whew. Well, for so much value, you can get this app for free on Android and Apple devices in the respective stores and get learning as soon as yesterday. And that is what's up today.
Last week, we talked about a new cooking system that aims to help in environment preservation by offering alternative sources of heat when cooking large-scale meals for institutions. This week, we're still on the same trend of conservation by using renewable sources of energy. The transport system is an integral system in a highly populated society. Not only is it important for carrying people from one destination to another, goods like food as well as dependent on the transport system. A design of engineers got together and created a team that invented a generation of vehicles that could be the future for transport systems locally.
Hi, my name is Alex Makalio. I'm very fortunate to be serving Solar eCycles Kenya as General Manager. Before this, I have an academic background as an aerospace engineer. My father makes the joke that he spent a lot of money educating me to build planes, and I'm now using that knowledge to build bicycles. However, away from Solar eCycles, I've also been involved in a number of startups, the first of which was Kuza Automotive, which was trying to build electric drivetrains for tuk-tuk. So I have been within the renewable energy space for quite some time.
So the trike has a basic tuk-tuk design of 3 wheels. However, instead of having a throttle, it has a pedaling system that is backed up by a motor system powered by batteries that are charged up by solar energy.
So we have 3 major components. First is, of course, the solar panel. The second is our batteries, and the third is our motors. And of course, using the solar panel, we're harnessing energy that we get from the sun, the light that we get from the sun, turning that into energy that we store within our batteries. Then we have a load, our motors, that then get to use this energy. But I think for us, a fantastic thing beyond the mobility is not only do we have energy that can be used for mobility, we also have energy available for further productive use. And for us, that is what is setting us apart from the way mobility on the continent is being solved by other organizations.
The trike has an assist system that aids when one is pedaling. The assist system has levels to it ranging from 1 to 9. When one is pedaling uphill, on a normal bicycle, a lot of energy is used to maintain momentum, let alone gain more speed. The assist system, however, on an uphill road, depending on the level of assist keyed in, one doesn't have to pedal heavily. Just a single rotation will trigger the motors to rotate the wheels. So basically, all you need to do is just pedal normally. It's not necessary to use a lot of energy since the motor will power the trike for you.
So the way our product works is you would get on the tricycle. It has a heads-up display that you will turn on. Works in a similar way to the way an ignition would work. In the ignition, once the display is on, you would then choose the level of assist that you wanted on your tricycle, because the trike is both human-powered and battery-powered, so hybrid in that sense. And as soon as this is done, you're good to go.
If you're in the engineering world, such a design would be possible to reconstruct. So what sets their design apart?
For us, what is really setting us apart is, even within mobility, how we're choosing to go about solving mobility. We have such a focus on rural, off-grid communities, solving mobility problems in rural Africa. And solving mobility in these areas then brings up a second pain point, which also our product is solving, and that is the issue of access to mobility. So instinctively, when you look at the trike, your first question would likely be, why have a solar panel? Why not just an electric tricycle? And the reason for that is these 2 pain points that we're trying to solve. One, access to electricity, and second, access to affordable, sustainable, accessible mobility. And fortunately, our product solves those 2 pain points.
You might wonder what these other productive uses are. Well,
so we mentioned these three components that we have on the trike: the solar panel, the battery, and indeed our motors. So through an inverter, it's very possible to access electricity, and you can plug in a lighting point at your home. Actually, if you had any DC components, direct current components, you can plug this in directly into the setup and that would work. But again, the fantastic thing here is not only are we simply a mobility service or a mobility provider, there's also further productive use which opens up a world of application for our trike.
So the trike is not their only innovation. Alex has also come up with another design that aims to tick their checkbox objectives, which is sustainable mobility.
The e-bike again is a fantastic thing, locally assembled with a lot of local input into the product, capable of doing up to 70 kilometers of range, speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour, and also a very comparable price point to what you would find in other local markets.
So just like the trike, the e-bike speeds up to a maximum of 30 kilometers per hour due to the inbuilt assist system powered by the batteries running the motor. These two designs have different charging systems.
Our trike is charged one by the solar panel. So we're again very fortunate that we have a product that you can leave your destination with a certain state of charge on your battery, and by the time, you can leave somewhere with a certain state of charge, and by the time you're getting to your destination, you would have more battery capacity, you would have a higher state of charge. However, in certain markets and in certain situations, we are now having to really question whether we want the solar panel to be the primary way that the tricycle is charged, or we will have to run alternative services, maybe like a battery swapping system. And the reason for this is to be very clear that the trike is a productive asset. So we cannot and will not afford any situation where we are having to tell our users, you can't use the trike for a few hours because the battery has to charge. We have to make sure that we maximize the productivity of our product, the productivity of the trike. However, our bicycle has a charger attached to it, which you would plug in like any other electrical appliance, and you'll be able to charge the battery in about 2-3 hours.
The initial prototypes they had designed were basically a bicycle connected to a carrier system like that of a tuk-tuk. But one disadvantage of the design is the middle rod on the bike. This made it so hard for one to be of use to women, since the rod is hindering one to climb up, especially if one is in a dress or skirt, which then led to the final framing design.
So we have developed a host of prototypes, learning, and the reason for this is particularly for us to learn what the user really wants and the setup that works perfectly for the user. Now, through 2019 was maybe the year we did the most extensive testing with our prototypes, testing these prototypes over 12,000 kilometers, and this was both in-house testing and testing alongside prospective pilot customers. The important things that we were getting from our customers was, one, we needed to really improve the frame. So our initial design was simply a bicycle frame welded onto a frame that could allow the carrying of cargo, and this unfortunately meant that with the number of welds that was going on, the opportunity to have little fractures on these welds was very, very high. So the one thing we did is to come up with a single frame that has as few welds and as few joining points as possible, and that has really contributed to the structural integrity of our tricycle. The other thing was we are a product that is going to be competing alongside other mobility solutions. These are your motorbikes, your bicycles, your mkokotenis, your tuk-tuks, and so on and so forth. So fundamentally, we need to have a product that performs always as well as, if not better than, other mobility solutions that we have.
The battery placement was also thought out. Since the trike could be used for cargo and human transport, the prototype designs had to be reconstructed to make room for its purpose. A normal car has a lithium-ion battery of 12 volts. The trike and e-bike, however, have a lithium-ion battery of 48 volts.
And in considering that, we have had to change the batteries that we're using. So moving on from lead-acid batteries to lithium-ion battery packs. We have also changed the motors that we are using. We have changed the motors from a reliability point of view. During the testing, the 12,000 kilometers of testing that I mentioned, we had a number of reliability issues with our motors, ones that we have thankfully now understood and know how to remedy. But within the trike, we chose to move on to different motors, again to assure our users of such a fantastic user experience. So a new frame that is particularly adaptable and usable by both genders with a step-through design, better motors that are more reliable, and a better battery pack that can deliver better range, better range and a better lifetime use of our tricycle.
Of course, such a design has attracted willing customers, especially organizations that are in transport and also welfare organizations that may want to carry some goods from one area to another.
Interest has been massive. If I may mention, we have been so fortunate to even get interest from the highest office in Kenya. The president himself ordered 10 tricycles, and a number of government officials have done the same. And to get such a stamp of approval is such a fantastic thing to have.
The production cost of these two systems ranges between 220,000 Kenyan shillings, while the e-bike is about 35,000 Kenyan shillings.
A significant amount of this money is being spent in, one, paying taxes, and two, paying shipping costs. And that is the opportunity we see, one, for governments and people who create public policy to be aware of the tax implications that some of these things are having on innovations like ours. And the second is, of course, shipping. There is a huge opportunity to ally supply chains and also to make sure that the products we need or the components we need to build a product like ours are so readily available within the market, and that would massively reduce the price point. However, the even more important price point is at what price point would our customers be accessing the product. And for those, we can do two things. We have an outright purchase model where if you came to our offices with the money, of course, you would be able to have a tricycle made for you. You can buy the trike at about $3,500 a unit, so about 350,000 Kenyan shillings. The e-bike is available on sale, actually available on sale right now for about 60,000 Kenyan shillings, about $600 US. However, even more importantly, because at the very heart of our organization is to find out how we can make our products financially accessible, we also have a lease system, a lease to use system where the trike can be accessed at $3.50 a day and the e-bikes can be accessed at $1 a day. So $1 a day on something that can help you travel almost 70 kilometers. I think you will soon be spending even 50 cents a day for commuting, which is the affordable, accessible, sustainable transport our organization is keen to deliver to our market.
So you can tell that the core objective of this organization is putting sustainable mobility at the cheapest price possible.
So again, at the start I mentioned I am very fortunate to serve as general manager. I manage a fantastic team here in Nairobi. We have Leroy, who works extremely hard as one of our technicians, knows these tricycles, knows these bikes inside and out.
My name is Leroy Maina. I do the maintenance of the bikes. Like I even let me say I'm the lead production guy. Let me say it like that, because they do the drawings, they do everything, and then everything else is left to me, and I get everything together, set it up, and then run the bike.
We also have Laura.
My name is Laura Lepore, and I work at Solar E-Cycles Kenya. Who I am to the team? Well, I am the business development and operations manager or lead here at Solar E-Cycles. And what I do basically is customer engagement, customer interactions, as well as funding applications. Being a an SME, we do a lot of funding applications for grant funding to scale up our business, and so I'm heavily on that side of the team as well.
This means that the target audience of the innovation is most definitely not the six-figure earning Kenyan. However, the door is not closed to those who wish to purchase it. There isn't any innovation that would not come with setbacks.
For my own personal experience, the biggest setback is building a team. I think the task for any founder, as clear as your vision is, you cannot do everything yourself. And you have to build people around you who will help execute this vision. And building a team has been difficult. Difficult, but definitely not insurmountable. And I think that is the greatest pressure, or one of the biggest pressures that that founders have. Maybe another pressure is finance and getting the working capital to sustain such an innovation all through to market entry. But I think, for me, if you have a right team, a clear vision, a right team, the finance will come. Undoubtedly, the finance will come.
You can tell there is hope after all when it comes to environment conservation, and with Alex spearheading the movement, the future indeed looks bright. That was the What the Tech segment.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
With precast panels, we have the best quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient four-story buildings, schools, offices, residential houses, hospitals, and warehouses. Take advantage of our free transport. Contact us on 0702 24 7267 or 0796 24 7267. Global Precast Panels Limited, your reliable option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas.
A little into what they are and how they work. Well, as promised, this week we'll delve a little into the opposite, native apps. So just what are native apps? Native apps are applications that are made specifically for certain platforms. That is, they only run on the platforms they were built for and are stored locally on those devices. Native apps are identified as icons that are present on the home screen of a device. Because native apps are specially designed for a particular device, they have full liberty to use the features that are present on that device, such as its camera, contact list, that is, GPS, and Bluetooth. Native apps are downloadable from their respective app stores, Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android devices. Most of the apps on your mobile device are native apps. Native apps work on the device's operating system. In simpler terms, native apps require complete access to all the hardware and functionality of a device and live on a device. So, for example, Mail for iOS and Ingress for Android are good examples of native apps. So, why would a developer create a native app? Well, first, for reasons best known to them. But really, on a serious note, there are various advantages that native apps bring to the table, which include number one, they offer speed. Because native apps are native to that platform, they work really, really fast. Number two, native apps work offline. Well, they work even if there's no internet connectivity. So in situations where you are stuck somewhere where there's limited or no service, such as an airplane or underground tunnel or subways, native apps are quite accessible still. The third reason is native apps provide a recognizable look and feel. When a user performs some function, he quickly understands the natural flow of the application because it is similar to an app that is already on the device. There are many pros and cons that both native and hybrid apps present, but oh well, that's for me to know and for you to find out. But really, allow me not to go all geeky on you with this one. I hope you will have learned something that makes your consumer experience much better when it comes to apps. And that is our tech word of the day. So the PlayStation 5 has been making waves in the gaming community since its release on November 12, 2020. And every new gaming console comes onto the market with its share of pros and cons, a key component to the everlasting console wars. That of course usually ensures we get the best of what Sony and the Xbox have to offer. Note, I mentioned the two because they are the giants when it comes to developing consoles, really. That notwithstanding, the most important aspect of a console should always be quality. The PlayStation 5 has been noted to be cutting edge over its competitors, which is especially positive when you consider the console's high price point. You would not want to spend quite a chunk of money without getting the returns on it. So even though the PlayStation 5 has numerous advantages over its competitors, just how does it stand as a gaming system overall? Are the technological advancements worth the money being spent? And more importantly, does it have everything you're looking for in a gaming console? Well, here's some things to look out for in case you're planning on buying one once they release them back again. Yes, they sold out during the first or initial release, so you need to be a bit patient.